Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast, where insight meets innovation. Whether you're sketching your first idea or refining a finished product, you're in the right place. Our mission is to equip you with the tools, expertise, and clarity you need to succeed as an inventor, while helping you conquer fears and limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, founder and CEO of Inventor's Edge. Before becoming a seasoned product development coach, I was a wide-eyed inventor with a head full of ideas but no clear path forward. I know firsthand what it's like to feel stuck, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Fast forward to today, I'm a successful entrepreneur with multiple licensing deals and products on the market. I'm committed to helping inventors like you overcome obstacles, conquer fears, and transform your ideas into tangible success through proven, actionable, step-by-step strategies that deliver real results. Join us as we bring in industry pros, share expert advice, and dive deep into the world of innovation. Ready to turn your ideas into reality? Let's get started. Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam. Are you an inventor or someone who has product ideas? Have you ever wondered how people create amazing businesses around one product from scratch? If so, you are in the right place, my friends. In this episode of the Inventor's Edge podcast, we're honored to have the one and only Jonah White on with us. Jonah, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Scott? Another day in paradise.
Good, man. I really appreciate it. In this episode of the Inventor's Edge podcast, we are going to talk with Jonah, and we'll see how much time we have. I feel like I could talk to you for the next, 6 to 8 hours and beyond, probably. Well, Jonah, I want to do a little introduction here. Jonah is the founder and CEO of the Billy Bob Products Empire, founded in 1994. You put your entire net worth of $400 into your new company, which is amazing. You grew up with no running water and no electricity until the 4th grade, no car, living with your parents in an old log cabin in rural Illinois. You're the self-proclaimed caveman. But you took Billy Bob teeth from its humble beginnings to selling over 22 million Billy Bob teeth worldwide. You're one of these slackers, right? You had your Gags to Riches show on the Discovery Channel. You're an amazing mentor, keynote speaker, author. You lecture around the world from kindergarten classes to Harvard Business School. You're the all-around great guy, hardest working caveman in the industry. Your quote is, "The key to survival is adaptation." Welcome, Jonah. Tell us, where are you from? And maybe just tell us a little more about yourself. I'm sure I missed a few things there.
Well, I live in the most rural county in the entire state of Illinois. If you look on a map, I live at the confluence of the Mississippi and the Illinois rivers on the western border of Illinois, right above St. Louis. I'm about 60 miles, geographically speaking, above St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tiny little community. This county is about 75 miles long. It's got the Mississippi River on the west side of it, and it's got the Illinois River on the east side of it. And it has a total population of 5,000 people. So when I'm enjoying one of my trade shows in Las Vegas, and that was a little bit of sarcasm right there, there's more people in the hotel that I'm staying at, more than likely, in Las Vegas than live in this entire county.
Wow.
To put it into perspective, yeah. So it's pretty cool. I started this business with my best friend. I threw my entire net worth of $400 at it recklessly. I was living with my mom and dad. My mom was my first CFO. My dad was in charge of the shipping department, which was also known as our kitchen. And I had ran a phone line in through the back window of my parents' log cabin, and we had a old telephone. It was the push button one. It wasn't a rotary one. And it was on the wall above some cabinets that I put in. And then when I built my first tooth lab to make Billy Bob teeth, it was in our attic, which was about 5 feet tall. So you had to kind of, I didn't, a little vertically challenged. Most of my employees were of short stature. That was out of necessity, and very low overhead. And one of the keys to being an entrepreneur and being a successful one is keeping your overhead in check. And by God, we kept our overhead in check. You mentioned me as the caveman earlier, which I'm proud to be probably the only caveman that these people actually know. And that's because when I started this business in October of 1994, I was actually living in a cave behind my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, who grew up on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma, he convinced me after I graduated from Missouri State with a biology degree that I should not go to work for the government, and instead I should figure things out and in the meantime live in a cave and have cave time and introspect. So that's what I did. And it was probably the best decision of my career, financially speaking, was doing that. And we all know the majority of the right answers to take us in the right directions. We just have to dig for them and we have to look at them. And everyone listening to this podcast, all of you have talents that are better than talents I have. They're just different and they're categorized different. And I'm better at lots of things that you guys aren't, and you guys are better at a lot of things than I am. And I have a team around me that I have put together over all these years that has strengths where I don't, and I shine in other areas where I take full advantage of that. And that's the key to being successful, is to know and figure out your limitations, and don't try to, if you are born with fins, don't try mountain climbing, try swimming, right? Really simple. We know these answers. We want to avoid them for some reason because we think it's not cool, or the neighbor didn't do it, or someone else, or whatever. So, embrace your strengths, and I wouldn't say avoid your weaknesses, but understand that they're there, and try to put yourself where your weaknesses indeed aren't compromising, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. One of the things about you, Scott, that I really admire is how you care about people. You truly do. You're not in this business for the money. And I've met so many dirty, rotten scoundrels that do what you do for the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, truly say this. And I had a reality show on Discovery Channel. I was helping inventors. I've helped inventors my entire career because, like you, I want to make the world a better place and I want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met so many that have been taken advantage of by organizations, not the one that you work with, but other ones, and work with people that get them to financially stretch themselves where they really shouldn't, and people that really aren't interested in them being in their clients being financially successful in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, to change gears, I really kind of admire that about you. And you guys really care about people, and you have a great end result that you're working for. And that's a very rare thing. And that's really why I'm on this podcast right now. If I can help your organization any, I sure will. And what you guys are doing. And you guys are very humble and you work very hard. Both those two things are very, very important keys to being successful. And hopefully people learn from this and they watch this and it kind of rubs off on them a little bit. It's not easy being a successful entrepreneur most of the time. There's a lot of pronouns right there, but it's really not. People get into this for the wrong reasons sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They think they can come up with some idea and all of a sudden they're going to strike it rich. It's seldomly, with an emphasis on seldomly,
Mm-hmm.
happens that way. This is difficult and hard. And if you can embrace that and you're somewhat creative, you will be successful in the end. What level of success, who knows? Sometimes being the best guy in the room at something doesn't mean you're successful. It just means you're the best guy in the room. Sometimes having the best invention in the world doesn't work. There's more to it than this. And lots of pieces have to come together. And I didn't know this, and I had to learn this many, many decades ago. And I've learned it. I've become good at it. And I have a great team of people that work with me and that I've built around me. And now I'm I'm past halftime in my game of being an entrepreneur, and I'm just putting points on the scoreboard, and it's
Sweet.
kind of it's kind of fun, but it is a struggle sometimes, and things happen out of your control, and you have to be ready for this. And everybody can come up with excuses, and I'm not a big excuse person. They don't go very far with me. And I'm not going to say that my employees don't feed them to me on a weekly basis, but the results are usually the same. And
Yeah.
I don't like excuses. When someone's telling me an excuse, I usually, as soon as they're done, I usually say to them, you know a little bit about me. How do I feel about excuses? And
Mm.
let them answer their own question.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we all know the answers. Sometimes they're buried a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're right on the surface and you just don't want to pick it up. But we all know what the answers are. There's a lot to it. There's lots of layers to it. I have embraced the idea that business is difficult and doing things is difficult. It's all climbing mountains to me. I'm not the person that has the mindset that everything is easy and you just be smarter and everything works out so easy because you're smart. Well, I don't pride myself being smart. I don't pride things being easy. I pride myself as being a rugged caveman that's going to carry that carcass to the top of that mountain. I don't care how high the mountain is or how big the carcass is. I hope it's big and heavy because it's going to feed my brethren in this cave on the top of that atoll for all winter long. And it's not easy. And that's my mindset. And when things are easy and bam, here comes a $1,000 purchase order. I'm like, dang, that was too easy. I
Mm-hmm.
should have worked hard. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
And I look for things to be difficult.
Embracing the struggle. And I think anybody that's gotten into the entrepreneurial world feels that. If they don't feel that, they don't understand that, they don't embrace that, they're not going to last very long.
Yep.
For me, it was interesting leaving my previous company actually recently to start Inventors Edge. And it's been that leap of faith, you leap and the net will appear, and taking that first step out into the entrepreneurial, world, leaving what's comfortable, what's familiar, and doing something that is going to make you uncomfortable. I think that's the difference. I think that's where people kind of veer off one way or another. I think as people, we're naturally inclined to kind of stay with what's comfortable and familiar, but I think you have to be willing to throw yourself in the fire, like you're talking about. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck, but you have to do it because that's part of the deal.
Well, I always tell people that are thinking, people that are thinking about making a changeover, I always tell them to be cautious. And I seldomly advise people to jump in head first.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the time, I tell them to put their feet in the water first and see if they like the way it feels.
Mm-hmm.
And then to roll their pant legs up and then to wade out there a little bit. And then come back to the shore and think, did I really like that or not?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you liked it, well, maybe we look at some bathing suits, or maybe get your knife out and cut the legs off your pants and get yourself some redneck bathing suits and jump on in. And then being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. And there are lots, it's not for most people. And it makes me sad to see people jump in, fail, and then hang it up and then go back to what they know. And that happens a lot. A lot of times that happens. Failure is inevitable. If you're going to be successful, you're going to fail. I mean, I bet you Elon Musk has failed more than everybody listening to this podcast, Failure is learning. And the best learning you get is from elements of failure. When everything's going wonderful, things are going great. Me in my personal life, when things are going great, I'm kind of like the fighter in the ring, and I'm waiting for that haymaker. And everything's going so good, and he's taking all these punches, and I got him against the ring. I got him against the ropes. In the back of my mind, I'm cringing because I know this haymaker is coming. This uppercut is coming, and I expect it to be rough and tough, and not everybody's built for that. They want everything being easy, and sometimes they are, but when they are, it's kind of the exception to the rule, and you should enjoy it while it lasts. And then get back to being ready for the winter snowstorms and, and sparse game on the hunting trails
Yeah.
and the mammoths with very, very thick hide that
Mm-hmm.
want to come down the trail that I'm hunting on. So,
Yeah.
I don't encourage people to jump in when I really think that person isn't ready, and they really shouldn't quit their day job, and
Mm-hmm.
they should think about these things more. The time to quit your day job, in my opinion, is when when you're when you have so much opportunity in front of you that you just can't take advantage of. And when I say opportunity, I don't mean perceived opportunity, 3 years down the road. I mean, things are happening right now. And
Mm-hmm.
it just realistically makes no sense financially speaking to keep the day job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the entrepreneurs that I know, like yourself, they tend to juggle things. They're doing 2 or 3 things at once. And the majority of the things that they're doing, they're making money with. Everything can't be a loss leader. Now, that's not to say that everything has to make money, but everything can't be a negative. You have to be making money. The inventor is a risk taker by nature. And some of these people, they have to almost, save themselves from themselves because they want to risk everything on something that's not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that should not happen most of the time. When it does happen, it's because there's so much opportunity right in front of you that you can see right there. Not you, you know. Another thing too that my sentiment is I try to put myself in situations in business that I have as much of full control as I can get. I do not put myself in situations very often where a company's board in the state of Colorado or somewhere else far away, a bunch of people who have no idea who I am have to make a decision of one way or the other, or else this whole project fails. And I've invested how much energy and time and my own money into this thing. I don't put myself in those scenarios. I have in the past, and I learned it doesn't go well for the caveman when I do this. When I put myself
Yeah.
in a scenario where there's buyers in this room and I have merchandise in my warehouse and they can all buy that from me and they turn me loose in this room, things go very well for me and
Mm-hmm.
my staff and my horde over here, and we get it shipped out. So what I'm saying is put yourself in a scenario if you're the successful entrepreneur, a recipe for success that you follow is having as much control of your end result as possible. And other people don't control this. If I'm very big into patents.
Mm-hmm.
I have invented many things for many years, and I have lots and lots of patents. I have had to I've had to invest more than $1 million in legal fees suing companies, ripping me off
With the Billy
on
Bob teeth, right?
with all sorts of things, Scott. I mean,
Yeah.
so much. Billy Bob Teeth was the first things that I had to stand up and beat my chest. I had to jump on top of a mastodon carcass with my spear and beat my chest, and I had to keep those hyenas off of it
Yeah.
because you've taken it down, and the hyenas want their chunk of meat,
Yep.
and usually they want to run your butt off the carcass, and they want it all for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you chase off the jackals, here comes a cave lion or something, and then whatever. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Failure is not an option, and if you can afford to defend it, you defend it. And if your mindset is I'm going to hunt, but I'm not going to defend my prey, I don't know what your future is going to be. I don't know. And defending things is not just a brawny, I'm explaining in my head the way I make this out. It's
Mhm.
very technical.
Yeah.
And it is you don't understand just how intricate and technical the English language is until you are in federal court being cross-examined by very expensive attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize just how intricate the human language is and
Yeah.
how delicate of a procedure this can be. And I've done this before. So
Right.
there's so much to it in certain areas. And when I started this business, I was very simple, and I knew that I could outwork people, and I was clever enough I could figure out things, but there were certain things I didn't want to figure out. And I never ever wanted to learn or know anything about taxes, and I never wanted to see the inside of a courtroom. Those were two things that I prided myself. I'm going to work my butt off. 1997, I drove 75,000 miles in my Dodge diesel truck going to meet customers and trade shows in one single year. And
Wow.
realized this is 5 years after I graduated college. I was doing this. I had employees and I was doing this, and I had I didn't even have a car until 1996. I didn't even own a vehicle.
Mm. You're still doing that now, right? Loading things up and driving to trade
Yeah.
shows and
Yeah.
putting a lot of miles up.
You go back to the well, and you figure out what you're good at,
Yeah.
and you exploit that as much as you can from a business standpoint. And like I said, everyone listening to this podcast is very good at certain things, and even the things that you're not good at, you could get very good at some of these things. There's other things that you're just not built for. And look at Elon Musk. Look at how awkward he is, right? Look at his social skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is. He really is.
But that's not what made him, and that's not what he's exploiting. He works 16 hours a day, and I don't work this much. He's a machine. I'll bet you by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning is when he's on his prime. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I bet his brain is so active and creative, and he's harnessing stuff. And I'm just using him as an example. There's people listening to this podcast that are much better at certain things than Elon Musk is. Much better. So I want to tell your listeners, if you can learn something from me, it's that you all have talents. You have to understand what they are, and you all have weaknesses. Every one of you has weaknesses, and you need to, I wouldn't say avoid them, but be fully aware of them. And don't put yourself in a scenario where that weakness, whatever that is, has to do very well for you to be successful. Because you're probably not going to be. We all have an Achilles heel or 2 or 3 or whatever. Be aware of it.
Yeah.
And don't have the rose-colored glasses that I can do everything, because those people usually get their asses kicked and the hyenas chase their butts off or whatever.
Right.
And be fully aware of your capabilities and push the envelope and work as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And embrace that. And when you work that hard and you're laying in bed at the end of the day, or maybe it's 3 o'clock in the morning, pat yourself on the back. Man, I kicked ass today. I took down a mammoth today. Or I did really awesome with that sales sheet I made for whatever. But you know what? I forgot to put a drop shadow on that thing wherever. And your mind it doesn't shut off if you're really, really going to be good at something.
Yeah. I think inventors are hardwired that way. Like the brain's always going, we're always seeing things not necessarily for how they are, but how they could be. And it's hard to shut that off. I remember my wife, Beth, one time, I'm like, hey, I got this other great idea. And she's like, let me stop you right there. Before you share the next idea that's going to save the world, can you at least help me with the friggin' laundry? Like,
yeah.
All right. Okay. I get it. Message received.
Now I'd like to take a quick break to share the incredible platform that I use designed to help you turn your knowledge, passion, hobby, or expertise into a profitable online business. It's called Kajabi. Whether you're into fitness, playing guitar, woodworking, content creation, knitting, cooking, gardening, parenting, fishing, or literally anything else, your passion can become your business. Whether you're looking for an extra source of income or a new full-time gig, Kajabi is an all-in-one tool that makes it easy to build, sell, and market online courses, membership, and coaching programs. It has everything you need to create your website, automate marketing, connect with your audience, and so much more, all while making money online. If you're ready to share your expertise and create your own online business, Kajabi is the platform to help you succeed. Click the link in the description to learn more. Now back to the show. I have a couple questions for you. I was wondering, as you're talking about patents and products, and I know you shifted really from novelty products to get more into the pest control industry. I just wonder, was there like a specific or particular moment that really sparked that shift?
So a real successful entrepreneur, he is aware of his situation and his surroundings. It is really easy to get caught up in looking too closely at whatever it is you're doing and not soaking in the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be too focused 100% of the time on what it is you're doing, and get back from it. My business has had some major ups and some major downs, and a lot of successful businesses have, and it's not uncommon to have this. It's not always going to be a sunny, warm day. So my business began to struggle. I started this business off with no capital and making the product with my own hands, and it grew into, in the prime, almost $10 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell people too, something I've learned: don't get too caught up with the dollars, but really be hyper focused on profit, because there's a huge difference. I had a $10 million company that was horrifically profitable. I've seen $20 million a year companies that were going out of business, $100 million a year companies. So don't be too focused on gross sales or sales dollars even, but really keep your finger on the pulse of your profitability of whatever your venture is. We were very profitable, had very low overhead, lots of my family working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll spare you all the details of the disasters that I've had. I've had several. And I've actually had 2003, my company was on its deathbed because I let other people manage my business that didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
They had convinced me they were smarter than me and that they should run the business, and I let them. And in a year, my business was in its final gasps of air.
Wow.
And I had to come back out of retirement. I actually retired in the year 2000, and I built my home, and I didn't even come into my own office for an entire year. And I was talked by people who were much older than me and theoretically much more successful than me about all of my mistakes I'd made. And you know what? Mistakes are going to happen. Bring your eyes back to that profit chart on your wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
There, my mother used to say, if you want to know how smart somebody is, look at their bank account. And there is some truth to this, right? Don't look too much at this, but there's some truth to this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, so I fell for the cardinal sin. I let people run my business that had not earned that level of trust that I gave them. And you know what? Yes, they took some money from me in various ways, and I almost went under. I shouldn't say almost went under. I mean, my company lost money for about 3 years from it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually deleted my retirement accounts at that point in time to save the company. And everything all the nest eggs I built up for myself, I had liquidated to save the company.
Wow.
And which is pretty sad, but it is what it is. It's a learning thing. I will never do this again. I hope people that listen to this podcast don't do that. And, talk is very cheap. Everybody can talk up a great game
Mm-hmm.
about whatever. And even references, they are what they are. It's a reference. That's all that is. It doesn't mean that tomorrow this person is not going to turn into a serial killer.
Yeah.
It means this is what they did whenever.
Yeah.
And And at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility. When it got really bad, I didn't come out of my bedroom for almost a week. And I told my wife, give me some distance and let me figure this out. And she stayed away from me. And I, for the most part, didn't hardly eat anything for a week. And I was in my bedroom. I live in a log cabin on a lake that I built. And I looked out the window at my hill, and I looked at my lake and thought about how to fix this. And I knew the answers were within sight of me. I had to figure them out again. And it took almost a week to get it figured out. And I was talking to, I have several mentors that have helped me over the years. We all need mentors. And I talked to a couple of them, trying to figure out some thoughts and some ideas from another angle on how to make things better for the situation that I was in. And I didn't want to have to start selling things. And that's where your mind goes first. Well, I can liquidate this farm, and I can sell this place, and I can do this and this other building here. I don't need this quite so much. I could do this. I could shuffle things here, and here's another 300,000 and whatever. And it was a bad situation I was in, and I lost in one scenario. I lost $1 million in a single week.
Whoa.
And when I say lost $1 million, I don't mean lost $1 million of sales. I mean $1 million went out of my bank account in a week.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's not a good situation, and it was my own fault. And I really, when I look back at it, Scott, I don't blame those people. Those people were, if they were rotten, yes, and they lied, yes, and they did whatever. I put them in that scenario. I'm the one who compromised all my kids' college funds and retirement accounts. I'm the one who did that. I took, I learned my lesson. I don't blame those people for being rotten people. They've been rotten people their whole life. I'm the one who came in and put them in that opportunity. I put the steak in front of them on the table. I'm the one who did that.
Yeah.
And I did that because I was gullible and I believed people. And that's another thing about entrepreneurs and inventors. They're very optimistic, and they want to believe the best all the time, or most of the time, or more than they should. And at that point, I got to be a much wiser person, trying to recover and lick my wounds and regroup from the disasters that just unfolded literally in 1 week.
Man, you realize pretty quick that nobody cares about your money or your health as much as you do.
Yeah.
That's a quote that I like to share. And I like that you took back control, and you see that, over and over with companies, whether it's Apple or whoever, like they come back and they do it the right way. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned with that. And you're right. As inventors, we're kind of wide-eyed, and we're very optimistic, and we think we see opportunities, and we want to grab onto everything. And that's one of the lessons I learned early on too.
Yeah.
And I'm still fairly early in my journey with this. Is not there's a million opportunities to spend money. It doesn't mean you should.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like learn to say no to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Inventors
don't like to say no. I know. They
yeah. With that, I was going to ask you, when inventors contact you and they pitch you products. I know we're focusing more in the kind of the pest control category right now. Can you take just like a quick minute and just kind of walk us through your process? Like what does that look like for you once you get
which process?
Let's say somebody has a new mousetrap or a new pest control product. Yep. How do they get in touch with you, and what does your process look like for reviewing products?
Well, the majority, like I don't charge people, and inventors pile on my door. Most of them I cannot help, and I try to be honest with these people as much as I possibly can. Most of these people, I advise them to keep making money. That's my advice to them. Better your life, but keep making money. And keep your mind active. When people come to me, Scott, I've had over 1,000 inventors in my office, which is 20 feet this way.
Yep.
And they come to me, and they come in and they're all excited, and they have a cardboard box, and I can tell there's something inside of this cardboard box. And they haven't even sat down in my chair, and they're wanting to grab something out of this cardboard box. And they're so excited. They have elevated heart rates. They're breathing erratically, and, maybe a little bit of sweat on their brow.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, you have seen it. And I say to them, don't put your hand in that box. I don't care what's in that box. And it takes the wind out of their sails, and it confuses them. It kind of baffles them for a moment. And they say, well, what do you mean you don't want to see what's in the box? I told you, this is the next hula hoop. This is better than Billy Bob teeth. I said, it might be. It probably isn't, but it might be. But I don't really care about what's in that box. What do you want? And they're like, well, I was thinking, 10% or 16% or if this and that. And I said, no, hold on here. I mean, what do you want? Like, why are you here? What is it you want? Is it a buck? Is that what this is about? You want a buck? You've come from Ohio or Florida to my office because you want a buck? What is it you want? And they're like, I don't understand. This is like the next hula hoop. This is huge. This is $1 billion business, or this is whatever. I said, I say to them, settle down, take a deep breath, sit back, tell me what you want. Where do you see yourself in 5 years today? What is it you want out of life? And they're like, I don't understand. Okay, if you tell me that in 3 years, you would like to be selling at festivals in Arizona with your grandson. You'd really like to make about $50,000 cash in a summer. Or you tell me that you'd like to have 40 employees and be grossing $10 million. Or you tell me that your wife is about ready to lose her kidneys and you need to make $1 million next month to pay this doctor in Argentina. You tell me these things, I'm going to look at what you're going to pull out of that box very, very subjectively different. It's not really about what's in that box. It's about what you want out of life and why you're here. Because these inventions come and go. And if you're worth anything, inventor-wise, you're going to come up with maybe 100 things before it's said and done. I've come up with thousands of things. It's really about life and where you go and how this piece fits in. Because if you tell me you need to make $1 million next month, or you'd like to make 50 grand next summer with your grandson, I'm going to look completely different at what you're going to pull out of that box. And chances are I'm going to say, I think this can do this. Or I'm going to think to myself and tell you in real time, I'm sorry, but I don't think this is going to achieve what you're trying to do, which is usually what happens. And then it kills them, but then sometimes, I'm telling you, Scott, I've had people drive several states, come here, hear this, and say, thank you, but I'm not ready. And they don't even pull this thing out of their box.
You never see it.
I never even see it sometimes. I know. Most of the time, they pull it out. And the interesting thing is, I tell this to people also, their creations, their first try of these creations is never, ever, ever, never is a very long time also. It's never the best final result. There's always changes or manipulations sometimes you would have no idea until you try to make this thing or you try to import it, or there's some government rule on how you produce something or an import duty, or there's something has to do that you would never know when you start something. But you just know this is your best version of it right now. It's perfect. When I hear the word perfect, oh my God. When I hear the word perfect from an inventor, I'm
Just
like,
kiss of
okay,
death.
you just lied right to my face, because I assure you, this is not perfect. Whatever it is you're going to pull out of that box, it is not perfect.
Yeah.
And when you have the rose-colored glasses mentality, that everything's easy, life is easy, business is easy, and this thing is perfect, I don't know. I have a hard time buying into it. You sometimes, as a mentor, you have to save people from themselves, and that's difficult to do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to burst their balloon, but if you don't, you're not doing them a service.
No,
Do them a coaching.
you're showing them where the cliff is, and you're telling them, hey, go over that way. Doesn't matter that it's dark outside. Just walk that way.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And there's a cliff over there. That's what you're letting them do.
Right. Yeah. Honesty is such a powerful thing, and telling people the truth that they don't want to hear, but they need to hear it. And I think inventors that are really more humble and more open and more flexible and know that their product's not perfect, but they know what they want to do with it, and they have some goals, and they've thought beyond the, hey, this is going to change the world and it's a bazillion-dollar idea, and you're an idiot if you don't take this and run with it, and I'll find someone else that will. Like that attitude is it's hard to change, and sometimes people need that splash of cold water. Like, oh, wow, I had no idea I was even like that. Because people do get excited about ideas, and they should be excited about it.
That's wonderful. Inventors are usually very, very emotional. They're very strong with the right side of their brain. They rely on it. Very impulsive and very gullible, oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And your strength is also your weakness. So, and that's fine. Just know it's there, and you don't have to be scared of it. Don't be scared of anything. But if you don't know it's there, and you don't come to grips with it being there, like almost on a daily basis, like my father was a beautiful creator. I get so much creativity from my father, so much. He was a great public speaker. He was a Native American storyteller. He was fluent in several Indian languages. I mean, growing up, we had an outdoor educational Native American field school, and groups from Chicago and Springfield, Illinois, would bring kids to our farm, and we had a Native American Indian village that we had made, my father and my brothers and I. And then my mother would cook, and these groups would stay all summer in 5-day increments before they would switch out. And we had thousands and thousands of kids come through our farm out in the woods about 5 miles from here in the summertime. And that, growing up, I watched that, and I watched my father just captivate these people. And he would tell these Native American stories at night, and the fire is glowing, and he had his bear claw necklace, and it was wonderful.
Cool.
And by the same token, my father believed everything that people told him, like everything. And I remember being a little kid and looking at my father, and maybe that's when I started this path that I'm on now. And I'd say, how can Dad believe what that person just said? I remember we had this electrician that came in, and my mom and Dad paid to wire our old log cabin up. And he was stealing from us, and he would go through our house and steal from us. And I remember Dad was paying him $6 an hour, and it was so much money. I remember back in the day when you have nothing. And his name was Chuck. And he stole like some socket wrenches and some stuff out of our, and I remember telling Dad this. Dad, my socket set, my 3/8 socket wrench is gone. I think Chuck stole it. No, Chuck's a nice, good man. I think he did, Dad, because it was in there last night when I was working on my bicycle, and it's not in there. And anyway, so anyhow, we all have our weaknesses, Scott. And the older I get, the more zoned in I am on my own weaknesses, and I keep them at bay, and I know that they're there.
Yeah.
And that's a big key that I've learned about myself that other people don't have. Staying humble, very important, very important. We make mistakes, and I have eaten so much humble pie in my life. I like it better than the expensive stuff, and it never fails you. If you're if I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I was a straight C student.
I get that.
I'm happy with that. I didn't care. I never, if I got an A, I almost thought, how in the hell did that happen? I mean, I didn't. It was the end result. I wanted that piece of paper, right? And I got that piece of paper.
Yeah. C's get degrees.
Yeah,
Just read
yeah,
a
it
quote
did for
the
me.
other day. But yeah, this is awesome. I feel like we could talk for the next 12 hours straight,
Yeah.
probably. But
Well,
I do want to.
you're one of my favorites, Scott. I admire you,
Well,
and
thanks,
you're
man.
helping people. You're not doing this for the money. When I saw you the first time with your SWAT and Scoop swatter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at a trade show. Where was that? That was Phoenix, wasn't it?
Yeah, mid-state
Was that
show.
Phoenix?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
When I saw you there and you had your fly swatter, your scooper, and I saw you trying to sell it, and I knew that you worked with inventors. And most people that work with inventors that I've crossed paths with, I don't admire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And I'm saying this from kind of a jaded perspective because I've helped thousands of inventors for free. Granted, I can't put the time into it, and time is very essential in the key to it. But at the end of the day, they have to learn to walk on their own from a mentor or myself or someone else. They have to walk on their own at some point in time,
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time. And I'm like, that's that mentor guy right there. Because I talked to you just out of by coincidence, like a week or two before the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how we crossed paths the first time. It must have been something from the inventor circles
It was
that we were.
It was your Gags to Riches show. Me and
Oh, was it?
Uncle
Okay.
Mick came down with the hat
Oh,
product.
yes. Okay, yeah. You knew someone that had been on a TV show that I had.
Yeah,
And
we came
that's
together.
right.
Mhm.
That's right. But, and that's something else too that I want to say to people. I'm not going to save the world. I will not save the world. I don't want to. I can't. I intend to make the world a better place to some degree. Maybe it's just my little bubble, my ecosystem that I've created for my employees and my family. I'm not Elon Musk, right? I'm not going to save the world, make it better.
Mhm.
I'm just going to do my part. But when you do good for people, it always comes back positively on you. And what does it hurt to do good for people? It doesn't hurt at all. It's only a little tiny bit more effort than just turning your back and putting your nose up at people, helping them.
Mhm.
Because I was good and went out of my way to help someone who just so happened to be your friend, 10 years later, you and I are doing a deal with a SWAT and Scoop swatter that works
Mhm.
for both of us. And we're both
Yeah.
making money.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it on a podcast.
Mhm.
That only came from me being nice to this guy who's a genuinely good guy.
Yeah.
I could have said, your idea sucks. Get out of here. I'm not going to make any money from you. Oh,
Right.
here's my fee. Pay me here. I could have done that. I
Yeah.
seriously could have. I charged him nothing because I didn't charge really any of them.
Mhm.
And anyway, what I'm saying is when you do good to people, a lot of times positive things come back to you and don't plan on it. And when it happens, it happens. I think this is very different than karma. I don't really know how I feel about the whole karma thing.
Mhm.
But I know this, when you can, do good for people. You and
Mhm.
I are going to make very good money. And I'm going to work very hard and make it happen. And just because I was good to somebody
Mhm.
that you were probably also good to.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
It's amazing. I appreciate you sharing all that. It does feel good too to be a good person, to give. I'll do that sometimes in Starbucks, like pick up the tab
Yes.
for whatever, people
Yeah.
behind me ordered.
$7, big deal.
Yeah,
I don't
no big
I
deal.
don't
Make their
I
day.
don't personally I don't just randomly buy stuff or give money to someone for no reason,
Yeah.
just because they're the next person in line. I don't do that. I see something that I think is very admirable, and I noticed it, and it made me a better person, or made me smile, or something with me said, "That's pretty awesome."
Mhm.
And when you see that, share it with them.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, when I see a veteran, I'll say, "Thank you so much for serving." You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it
It's hard.
it's not even about money at all. It's just about admiring and being good to people when you can be,
Mhm.
and don't expect anything back. And if
Mhm.
something comes back, that's wonderful. And sometimes things come back that are just incredible. And if this means helping somebody with an invention, or if this means giving somebody a tip or paying for their sandwich, do it,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And anyway, it's very admirable seeing what you've done with Inventors. I follow you on social media, Scott. I watch you congratulating people, and I just know how hard you work, and I know you've invested so much of your own life in this. And I know a lot of these people really don't know how lucky they are to have someone like you helping them.
Mm.
And I've thought that several times, like, that person has no idea how lucky they have Scott Putnam working with them.
Wow.
Than someone else that just wants their credit card number once a month.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And
it's the truth, and I've seen it. And you can't make everyone financially successful, but you can help them, and you can try, and you can guide them.
yeah.
And coming from someone sitting right here that's helped thousands of people, and to, if for no other way to say, please don't quit your day job, please don't mortgage your home for this, please do not,
Yeah.
and don't whatever, trying to save people from themselves,
Mhm.
really what it is.
Yeah.
And
Those
it's
are
difficult.
it is. Those are great final thoughts for the Inventor's Edge listeners. And I like, being in tune with what are your weaknesses, and maybe you hire to your weakness, find other people that are really good at what you're not good at, and put those pieces together. We need to have you back on for sure if you're open to that. I feel
100%,
like
100%. Yeah.
I feel like there's at least 50 things in there that we could break apart and go do a deeper dive into. But yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap it up. And man, thanks so much for sharing your story and your journey and your heart and your soul, and putting it all out there, and insights, and tons of contributions to this episode. And I think this is all a fantastic topic, digging into the hearts and minds of inventors and being brave about it. And I know our listeners are going to have a ton of takeaways from the episode, and hopefully they'll use some of those on their own inventing journey. So I want people to please share your thoughts and comments, or if you have questions about the episode, please connect with us on social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe. Jonah, I appreciate you being here. I'm excited to have you back on a future episode.
Mm-hmm.
Any final words before we wrap up?
Nope. Just remember that every day is another day in paradise.
I love it. I follow you on social, of course. I love watching you wrestling your bears or your buffalo, like it's camel, like who has pets like that? It's so amazing. And I know everybody I talk to is like, oh my God, I love Jonah. I follow him. He's amazing. I guess, how can people get in touch with you? Maybe they do have a great thing in their box, and maybe they have some good intentions.
The best way to do it is just go to LinkedIn if they're on LinkedIn, or go to, I have a public page, or go to Billy Bob Products and contact us, billybobproducts.com, get a hold of me, and if I can help you, I will. And if I can, I'll be honest. So there you go.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm the same way, everybody check out inventors-edge.com. There is a dash between Inventors and Edge. For more resources to help you thrive, check out my testimonials. If you're thinking about, you want some mentoring or some coaching, look at what other people's experiences working with me. It's all on my LinkedIn page as well. So thanks for tuning in to Inventor's Edge, where every idea has the power to change the world. Remember, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a review, and please share it with fellow inventors. Your next breakthrough could be just around the corner. For more tools, tips, and resources, visit us at inventors-edge.com. Until next time, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life.